Welcome back, everybody. I've got my old 2-channel dual rectifier on the bench. It's not really a bench, it's actually another amp head. But I want to take a look at a few things that you can do to get better tones out of your Recto, or a Recto in general if you encounter one in the wild and you don't quite know how to wrestle with it. Hopefully this will give you some tips. Now, if you're like me, the first time you ever tried one of these amps, you thought it was the worst thing ever. And I feel like this persists in the world. People are either like, rectifier, one of the greatest high gain amps ever, or people go, oh yeah, the rectifier, it sucks. Well, this is probably why you think it sucks. And then talk about that and get on to why I think it's awesome and how you can make it awesome. So a few little notes. There's a whole bunch of switches on the back of this amp which lets you select between like the power mode, bold and spongy, and the type of rectification you're using. You can choose between diode rectification and tube rectification. Personally, I think tube rectification gives you more of the Recto character. You know, this isn't a 5150. This isn't a diesel VH4. It's not an Uber shop. It's a rectifier. If you're going to use it, you use it for that character. So that's why I like the tube rectification. I'm just going to leave it on there for this video. But if you put all the knobs in the middle on this amp, you get this. Way too much low end. It's fizzy as you turn the gain up, you know, all the way to 10. That's not a tight metal guitar tone. It's actually kind of cool and squishy and fuzzy in a way. It'd be like a really cool kind of doom machine. That's shaking the walls at the moment. There's so much low end. So this is what I like to do when I encounter a rectifier. Back the gain off. And then there's way too much low end. So just set the bass all the way down. Immediately, it's a little bit better. And then turn the mid-range all the way up. You know, there's a mid control on these things for a reason. And then you want to balance out the presence and the treble control. If I set the presence to 0 and then slowly turn it up, so it kind of doesn't do anything past about 2 o'clock. I will set it there. Let's have a listen to the treble control all the way off, and then I'll bring it up. And the treble control really is the fizz control on this amp. I think, again, anything past about 2 o'clock is probably a little bit too extreme. And then you can play around with the gain on this kind of thing. This particular amp, I think, really starts to fall apart probably past about maybe 3 o'clock on the gain control. I mean, it's still not in tight metal zone territory, but it is kind of cool. It's got a character in there that I really like. Another thing you can do is on this 2-channel rec, anyway, the orange channel, you can clone the red channel, but they don't sound the same. If I go over to the orange channel, I'm just going to copy these settings really quickly. Presence at about 2, bass all the way off, mids all the way up, where's the treble about 2, and I'll play around with the gain. I mean, just have a listen to these. They don't sound the same. So they sound different. It's not quite type metal territory just yet, and that's where boosting these things really brings them to life. So let's try out a bunch of different boosts. We're going to start with a Tubescreamer. I'm going to use the Ibanez TS5 Sound Tank. So there you go, like worst pedal housing ever, but it sounds exactly like my other Tubescreamer, so we're going to roll with it. For all of these, the kind of best practice with boosting a high gain amp is level all the way up, drive all the way down, and then use the tone control. Essentially what this is giving us is control over the pre-gain EQ. And with the rectifier, for my taste, there's probably too much bass in the pre-EQ, and this is going to pull out some of that bass, pull out some excess high end, and really boost the mid-range where the guitar lives. Let's hear it. So that's the Sound Tank. Let's hear the Boss SD1 Super Overdrive next. Same idea with this one, level all the way up, drive off, and I'm just gonna play with the tone control. That one's pretty cool. It's a little bit noisier than the Tubescreamer, but it's got a different character. Next, probably my favorite pedal-based boost for the rectifier. This is the Anarchy Audio Workhorse, which is a clon style circuit. So the low end's not quite as tight on that particular pedal, kind of retains a little bit more of the character of the amp, but it feels really, really good. I like the way it pushes it. And if you want to hear this combo, go and listen to Ragdoll's Back to Zero album because it is all over that one. Right, let's move on to the Revv G3 next. So even though this is technically a distortion or a preamp pedal, setting the gain to 0, the level all the way up, and then the 3-band EQ to just push a little bit of mid-range and shelve off a bit of bass is really awesome. That's pretty amazing and pretty brutal as well. That one, I think, more than the other pedals we've tried, really pushes it into full brutality mode. Next, let's hear the Anarchy Audio Esquilax. This is technically an EQ, but it is actually the EQ section of a Boss HM2. That's right, HM2, which is a pretty, infamous pedal for boosting high gain amps. This is going to be a different thing from the pedals we've tried before, but I think it's a pretty cool character. That thing is a wild ride. You can hear there's a bit of that Swedish chainsaw of doom about it, and it really makes you want to play in a different way. Okay, because that's an EQ pedal, let's hear the Boss EQ20 graphic EQ next. And this is one of my favorite pedals for really having fine control over shaping the pre-EQ of your amp. All right, so this is what we're gonna do with the EQ20. We're gonna pull down 30, 60, 120, and a bit of 200. So we're gonna pull out quite a bit of the low end there. We're also gonna pull out the extreme high end from about 6K. Then we're really gonna push 1.6 and 800. Just kind of give it a nice big frown style EQ on there. I don't think this is gonna stay stable. And then I can boost the overall level with this guy here. What we will do is hear it bypass and then hear it on. This is going to sound pretty awesome. So I said the Workhorse might be my favorite boost. I think this actually might be it. What I've done there is I've pushed this 1.6K slider all the way up, and I've actually basically pulled down all of the sliders up to 200 Hertz and the 400 Hertz slider. If I pull down 400 and 800, this will be pretty interesting. You get some really pronounced pick attack. That's way too much low end and way too much spiky stuff in there for now, but the graphic EQ does give you a whole lot of control. One last pedal we're gonna try is the Poly Effects Digit, because it has an awesome 6-band parametric EQ that we can use as a boost. And it's pink. This is a pretty amazing pedal. Not only is it pink, like I said, it's got a touchscreen, it does convolution reverb, it does delay, it does weird pitch effects, there's a bit crusher, there's a whole bunch of just unique time-based and modulation effects in it. I've got some other videos on my channel with it, but we're gonna just use the parametric EQ in there. Similar thing that I've done with the graphic EQ, although this gives me finer control about where I want to boost the mids. Instead of boosting 1600 a lot, I've kind of gone more for around 1000 Hertz. Let's hear it. What a wonderful thing. As you can hear, we tried out a bunch of different flavors of boosts with the Recto. I'm sure you have your favorite out of all of those, so please let me know which one you liked in the comments. And I'm sure there's going to be a bunch of people who this amp just simply doesn't do it for them. You know, some people like licorice, some people don't like licorice. It's fine. It doesn't matter really whether you like it or not. Just if you like it, use it. If you don't like it, don't use it. But at least, hopefully, this video gives you a little bit more understanding how to dial one in if you do have to dial one in, and which boost might be to your liking and your preference. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. I will see you all next time. Stay excellent.